Staying sane in a hybrid workplace. Hybrid workplace. The best of both worlds, or just double the chaos? The hybrid workplace, hailed as the future of work and the savior of the modern employee. You get to work from home in your pajamas and have awkward small talk with Steve from accounting in the office kitchen. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, sort of. In theory, it's the perfect balance. One day you're sipping coffee at your kitchen table, reveling in the joy of not having to commute, and the next, you're at a desk that's not also doubling as your dining table. But let's not pretend it's all sunshine and productivity. The hybrid workplace, as lovely as it sounds, is often like trying to live in two worlds at once, and neither world is willing to cooperate fully. Hybrid work can sometimes feel like juggling flaming torches while riding a unicycle. One moment, you're conquering spreadsheets in peace, and the next, your Wi-Fi decides to remind you who's really in charge. Your kitchen table becomes your boardroom, and your actual office starts to feel like an unfamiliar territory. And then there's the mental gymnastics of figuring out which days are office days and which are home days. God forbid you show up in the wrong location. Cue the frantic reshuffling of plans, accompanied by a side of mild panic. Of course, there are perks. Flexibility is the holy grail, after all. But with great freedom comes the responsibility to, actually work. And let's not forget the sneaky guilt that creeps in when you're at home and feel like you need to prove you're working just as hard. It's an endless loop of overcompensation and second-guessing. So, is the hybrid workplace the best of both worlds or a chaotic compromise? Honestly, it's a bit of both. But hey, at least it keeps us on our toes, and our Wi-Fi routers on high alert. Just remember, it's all about finding your personal balance in the madness. Boundaries, schmoundaries. Surviving the hybrid work juggle. Boundaries. That magical concept they tell you about in self-help books and TED Talks. In a hybrid workplace, though, boundaries are more like polite suggestions than actual rules. They exist, sort of, but mostly just to be broken. At home, your office might be a corner of your living room, strategically angled to hide the laundry pile during Zoom calls. It's not exactly the pinnacle of professional vibes, but it'll do. And in the office? Well, it's not much better. People pop over to your desk as if you weren't just deep into an email titled urgent for immediate review, and somehow a 5-minute interruption snowballs into a lost hour. The real fun begins when the lines between work and personal life blur into a big, messy tangle. You start checking emails at 10 p.m. because, technically, your laptop's right there. And let's not even talk about the guilt when you leave your desk for a snack, or worse, a quick nap. Pro tip, if it's under 15 minutes, it's strategic resting and totally justifiable. So, what's the secret to juggling all this without losing your mind? Apparently, it's all about setting clear boundaries. Easier said than done when your cat decides your keyboard is the ideal napping spot, or your boss just quickly messages you on Teams after hours. The trick, they say, is to be firm. Log off when the workday ends, Resist the urge to check your emails in bed, double And if all else fails, just blame the Wi-Fi. After all, no boundaries equals no stress, right? Right? Well, let's just say it's a work in progress. Talking to humans again. Communication tips for hybrid life. Remember when communicating with colleagues meant turning your chair slightly to the left and asking a question? Yeah, those were the days. Now, in the hybrid workplace, it's a dazzling mix of in-person chats, emails, Slack messages, and the occasional cryptic post-it note. Communication has never been more complicated, or frankly, more hilarious. On remote days, you're decoding your manager's "can we chat" message, oscillating between thinking you're getting a promotion or being fired. It's usually neither, but the panic is real. In the office, it's all about awkwardly hovering outside someone's cubicle, trying to gauge if they are free without accidentally startling them. Office life, still a minefield. The real challenge? Finding a rhythm that works for everyone. Some people are email warriors, firing off detailed essays that make war and peace look concise, while others want to hop on a quick call. Spoiler, it's never quick. Then there are the video calls, where half the team is on mute, and the other half is dealing with toddlers, barking dogs, or the world's loudest leaf blower outside their window. The key to surviving this communication circus? Overcommunicate. And no, that doesn't mean sending a 12-paragraph email about your lunch break. It means being clear, concise, and maybe even adding a smiley face once in a while. Everyone loves a smiley face. It's the universal sign for, I'm not mad, I promise. And don't forget to embrace the awkwardness. Hybrid communication is messy, weird, and occasionally involves yelling, "Can you hear me?" into the void. But hey, at least it keeps things interesting. After all, isn't it nice to have a few stories for the next virtual happy hour? Hybrid workplace burnout. When both your desk chair and couch betray you. Burnout, the gift that keeps on giving. In a hybrid workplace, it sneaks up on you in new and creative ways, like a surprise party you never asked for. 1 minute, you're feeling productive and smug about your flexible setup, the next, you're lying on the floor wondering how it all went wrong. At home, the line between work and life dissolves faster than your morning coffee. You tell yourself, just one more email, and suddenly it's 8 p.m., and you're still in your pyjamas, the same ones you started the day in. The sofa becomes your sanctuary and your nemesis all at once. In the office, it's the dreaded back-to-back meetings, where lunch break means a granola bar inhaled between PowerPoint slides. The hybrid setup also has this delightful way of making you feel like you should always be on. If you're at home, you overcompensate to prove you're working. If you're in the office, you overcompensate to prove you still belong there. It's a vicious cycle of overcompensating and undernapping. And the worst part? Burnout doesn't announce itself, it creeps up on you, slow and sneaky. So, how do you dodge the burnout bullet? Start with the basics, take actual breaks, not just scrolling on your phone, set some real work hours, and don't feel bad about ignoring that late-night, urgent email. Pro tip, if you can't tell the difference between work fatigue and life fatigue, it's probably time to step away from both. Remember, a hybrid workplace is supposed to give you the best of both worlds, not drain the life out of both. Look after yourself, even if that means sneaking in an occasional midday nap. Your couch won't tell. And hey, if anyone asks, just call it restorative productivity. Routines are cool, until they're not. Hybrid edition. We all love a good routine, or at least the idea of one. In the hybrid workplace, though, routines are more of a moving target than a solid plan. Monday might mean an early commute to the office, while Tuesday's routine is trying to remember which drawer you put the good coffee in at home. By Wednesday, all bets are off. The trouble with hybrid work is that just when you think you've nailed down a groove, it flips the script. You plan your week around in-office days, only to find out there's a last-minute, optional but not really optional, meeting on your remote day. Fun. And let's not forget the morning scramble. On home days, you're smugly skipping the commute, only to realize your first meeting starts in 2 minutes, and you're still in bed. On office days, it's a mad dash to remember your laptop, charger, and the 17 other things you forgot last time. People say routines are the secret to hybrid work success. Sure, if your life is a Pinterest board. For the rest of us, it's about winging it with a vague sense of structure. Maybe you aim to start work at the same time each day. Maybe you finally embrace meal prepping. Or maybe you just accept that routine sometimes means knowing where your headphones are. The beauty of hybrid work is that no 2 days are the same. So, if your routine is more chaos but make it functional than calm and organized, you're doing just fine. And if all else fails, keep snacks nearby, you'd be amazed what a well-timed biscuit can do for morale. Water cooler chats and Zoom winks. Building office friendships in a hybrid world. Making friends at work was already a delicate dance, and then the hybrid workplace came along and turned it into an interpretive performance. Half the time, your colleagues are in the office, the other half, they're just floating heads on a Zoom call. Bonding has never been so awkward. Gone are the days of casually bumping into someone at the coffee machine and forming a lifelong connection over your mutual hatred of the office printer. Now, you're navigating a strange mix of in-person small talk and digital pleasantries, where emojis have replaced actual facial expressions. And let's be honest, not all of us are emoji artists. Hybrid friendships take effort. Like, actual effort. You have to remember who's in on which days, schedule coffee chats that don't feel forced, and hope that the person you've been bantering with on Slack isn't completely different in real life. Spoiler, they probably are. And if they're not, congratulations, you've found a unicorn. And then there are the office socializers, the ones who want to plan team lunches or after-work drinks. Lovely people, really, but they always seem to forget that half the team is at home wearing slippers and wouldn't dream of coming into the office for a pub quiz. Still, there's something oddly charming about hybrid camaraderie. It's finding a colleague who shares your exact level of Zoom sarcasm or bonding over the fact that you both showed up to the office on a public holiday. Oops. The connections are still there, you just have to work a little harder to find them. And hey, the occasional awkward encounter is a small price to pay for a work buddy who's just as tired of video calls as you are. So, next time you're in a hybrid funk, send that Slack message, join the virtual happy hour, or actually say hi to Steve from accounting. Who knows? Maybe hybrid friendship isn't so impossible after all. Home office versus hybrid workplace. Who wins the distraction Olympics? In one corner, we have the home office, a haven of flexibility where you're technically the boss of your own schedule. In the other corner, the hybrid workplace, where structure battles it out with chaos on a daily basis. And in the middle, you, trying to stay sane while distractions come at you from all sides. At home, it's a parade of temptations, the snack cupboard, the Netflix tab you definitely didn't mean to open, and the mysterious allure of cleaning the oven, because suddenly, that's urgent. And let's not even mention your pets, children, or overly chatty neighbors. Home office distractions? Undefeated. But don't be fooled, the office isn't exactly a productivity utopia. There's the colleague who just has a quick question that lasts 40 minutes, the impromptu team meetings, and the endless hunt for a quiet spot to actually get work done. Oh, and let's not forget the lunch hour oversharer who insists on telling you their life story while you try to eat your sandwich in peace. The hybrid setup combines the best and worst of both worlds. One day, you're fighting off the urge to reorganize your bookshelves, the next, you're dodging office interruptions like a pro. The distractions may change, but the struggle remains the same. So, who wins this epic battle of distractions? Honestly, neither. But the real trick isn't eliminating distractions, it's learning to live with them. Whether you're at home, in the office, or somewhere in between, just remember, a little chaos keeps things interesting. At least, that's what we're telling ourselves. And honestly, if you've managed to tick even one thing off your to-do list, that's a win. Mental health check. When the hybrid workplace starts to feel too hybrid, why? Let's face it, hybrid work sounds great until it feels like your brain has gone on strike. One day you're thriving with all the flexibility, and the next, you're crying into your coffee because your calendar looks like a game of Tetris. Spoiler, this is your sign to check in on your mental health. The hybrid workplace comes with its own set of emotional gymnastics. At home, you can feel isolated, just you, your laptop, and the growing existential dread of unanswered emails. In the office, it's the opposite, overstimulation from fluorescent lights, noisy colleagues, and the endless buzz of phones. Balance? Never heard of her. Then there's the hybrid guilt. If you're at home, you feel like you should be in the office. If you're in the office, you miss the comforts of home. And don't even get started on the constant pressure to maximize productivity in both places. Quick tip, sometimes, maximizing productivity means taking a nap. Seriously. So, how do you stay sane in this hybrid circus? Start small. Build in mini breaks. Go for a walk, even if it's just to the fridge. Set boundaries that you'll probably break, but at least try to stick to. And above all, cut yourself some slack, because navigating two worlds isn't easy. When the hybrid workplace starts to feel a little too hybrid, why, remember that you're not alone. Everyone's figuring it out as they go. The key is to prioritize yourself, even if that means canceling that one meeting just to stare out of a window for a bit. You deserve it. And if anyone asks, it's part of your wellness strategy. Tools and tech to thrive, or just survive, in a hybrid workplace. Technology, the hybrid workplace's best friend and worst enemy. It promises to make life easier, but let's be honest, it's also the reason you spent 20 minutes last week yelling, "Why won't this document attach?" at your screen. From communication tools to productivity apps, the hybrid world runs on tech. Slack, Teams, Zoom, Asana, you name it, there's a platform for it. They are supposed to streamline everything, but sometimes it feels like you need a PhD just to figure out which button to press. Then there's the hardware. Your trusty laptop? Overworked. Your webcam? Positioned at the most unflattering angle possible. And don't even get started on the Wi-Fi, because of course it crashes the moment your boss says, "Can I share my screen?" But let's not throw the tech under the bus entirely. There are gems out there that genuinely make life easier. Noise-canceling headphones? Essential for blocking out both office chatter and your neighbor's DIY project. A good task manager? Keeps you on track, most of the time. And don't underestimate the power of a second monitor, it's like a productivity superpower. The key to surviving hybrid tech chaos is to keep it simple. Find the tools that actually work for you. Spoiler, you don't need all 37 apps your company suggests, and master the basics. And when it all inevitably goes wrong, blame the Wi-Fi and take a coffee break. Sometimes, survival is as good as it gets.